How are you?
Good, how are you?
I will.
Huh? Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Yeah, so we'll go right to the executive session. No, I'm due. I'm due actually. Every 2 weeks, whether I need it or
Can't face me.
I don't know. I have one son and mother.
Well, the lady that I go to, been going to her for years, she's partially retired now. So it's hard to get in, you gotta have to reschedule it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah. I walked in one time. Cheers.
Good. Pretty darn close, right? Yeah. What do you want? We have something?
Yeah, I sent it to her.
Trying to get over there.
Josh.
Spook is Robert. Oh, God, no.
I'm gonna have to do it during my superintendent.
Yeah, my wife calls it the second generation. I call it Marvin. People that didn't know him. Oh my God, I'm surrounded by no, he didn't yeah, he's still I see him on the right. He's got to be close. He's there.
What's that? All right, we good? Yeah, that's hers. Okay, I think we're ready to go. All right, no, we're gonna start the meeting first. Oh, yeah. Well, we're not ready to start. Oh, yeah, so go back there, I'll call you. All right. We're a well-oiled machine here.
That's right. Good evening. I show 6:31. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. We're going to move executive session to the end today, so we'll start with the pledge. I pledge
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First thing, I request a motion to approve the minutes for the February 27th regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? President's comments, I have nothing to add at this time. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I've got a couple things. As you know, we used our first emergency closure day yesterday. And we have some more that we need to account for. I call them non-attendance days by contract. And so I'm going to recommend that we begin to take some of those days off the calendar, with some of them staying at the end of the year. So what I'm going to recommend to you is that we take the April 1st. The April 8th date was a half day or a shortened instructional day. I'm going to recommend that we don't have students or staff that day as well. And then the last day for students pre-K to 8 in June would be Friday, June 21st. That will use up the remaining days. The reason I don't want to use all of them now is because if we have another emergency closure day, I'd just simply take it off at the end of the school year. So at the next meeting, I'm going to formally bring that modified calendar back to you. Again, April 1st, it's a Monday. April 8th, it's a Monday. And then the June 21st, the last day pre-K to 8. But if it's okay with you folks, what I'd like to do in advance of that, notify the community, not wait for 2 weeks to do that so that they can begin to plan. All right, so any questions about that? Okay, all right, thank you for that. The main event, we have Brooke Head and Allison Sharp with us, both obviously teachers here in the district, and they brought some of our finest students with them. We have 3 students that are in our FFA program that will be presenting some information to you tonight that they will be presenting at a competition on Saturday. And so what I'll do is turn it over to Brooke, and I'll let her introduce the kids, and they can show their stuff.
So hi, I'm Brooke. For those of you who haven't met me, I think most of you have.
That's not Allison Sharp, though, in your arm.
Oh, no, that's
No, in your arm, I mean.
This is Lydia.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
This
I
is
just want to
Lydia.
make that clear, yeah.
This is my mini. I have 2 of my students today. One of them unfortunately couldn't make it. FFA every year does what are called leadership development events. They're essentially an event for students to highlight some of their public speaking skills. There's a multitude of competitions in which they can compete in. This year we had many first-timers go to the district level, which happened to be a Owego Appalachian back in the beginning of February. And then the top 8 from each category move on to sub-states, which is happening at Cincinnatus High School on Saturday. And I've actually been told that Mr. Turk is going to be a judge at the competition. Hopefully he doesn't get any of our homework kids. I'm a little biased there. 2 of our students today, one of them is going to be reciting the creed. It's one of the competitions. And then our other student, Kennedy, is going to be doing the Senior People in Agriculture presentation. It just highlights careers in different aspects of agriculture, and Kaylee Drescher will be reciting the creed. So Kennedy will go first. And she apologizes, she was at lacrosse practice and will probably head back out afterwards.
Yeah.
Stand here, there, over there maybe?
I don't know.
Where's the most convenient? Right there.
Where?
I'm looking at everybody.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kennedy Taylor. I'm a freshman. I represent the Homer FFA chapter. I currently serve as the vice president, and I'm honored. So basically, let's get started. Basically, here's the table of contents, the order that the careers are going to be presented to you guys, just so you get a little bit of how this presentation is going to go. So first, I'm going to start with mechanical science. In mechanical science, there's welders. These aren't just like your typical welders that like to build things and just put things together. They make sure that the farming machinery is up and running and good. If there's a part missing or a piece needed, they're there to help and put it back together. They're there to make shelters and houses for the animals in need around the community just to help. A fun fact, repairing a broken plow or combine from a welder can literally save a crop during the harvest time. So much, I'm thankful that we have welders to help our machinery because personally I love corn and vegetables. So. Next is a wildlife biologist in conservation and environmental science. Wildlife biologists put their time and use to studying about animals, those both in captivity and in the wild, while also studying the way humans impact the environment in which the animals live in. Without wildlife biologists, there's dogs that we wouldn't have, or elephants that could be gone, or even just our normal day animals that we need to survive in order for us to eat and stay sustainable in this earth. Next in agribusiness is an agricultural broadcaster. Agricultural broadcasters put their time and use by collecting and organizing information on any ag issues that are going on, any news that's popped up, or anything that way farmers can know ahead of time if there's a storm coming up, if there's like a new insect breed, or even just like what to expect. They also go around asking questions and interviewing other agriculture businesses that are around, like Trinity Valley, or just farmers that are doing really well and succeeding to help out the other businesses that are around in New York too. Next in animal science is an animal caretaker. These people put their time to use by giving care to animals in the shelters, in the zoos, in the kennels, pet shops, stables, aquariums, and research labs. They take statistics on what animals are doing really well in a certain place, in a certain environment, and ones that are not that way. They can try and figure out a change in how to help them grow better and just be more sustainable in that place. They also feed, water, bathe, groom, and exercise these animals. They're also with them and provide companionship, as sometimes if they're in a shelter or if they're in a zoo or if they're just alone a lot, they don't feel alone and they feel like they have somebody. Sorry for that. But basically they make sure that they can feel loved and cared for as they just left their potential home that they were just in. Next in plant science is a crop advisor. Crop advisors use their time to scout the field to look for any problems, if there's any like pesticides or insects that aren't supposed to be on the crops that could potentially harm the whole field. They go and look through all of that. They make recommendations on things from seed to fertilizer, from pest management to disease treatment also. They keep close contact with their clients just in case if an issue shows up and they need to be there immediately to help. That way we have food and we are able to survive. Next is an agriculture teacher in leadership and communication. We're blessed to have amazing agriculture program and teachers, Ms. Head and Ms. Sharp. Agriculture teachers use their time to teach students the importance of ag and how we can't really survive without it. They also teach students important life skills, for example, leadership. In the ag program, we hit that topic a lot, as it's important to grow as good people, kind people, but also good leaders, as we have new generations growing up with us every day, and we influence them with all the decisions, actions we make. They prove to us that our one small action can make a big difference in just someone's lives and how it can impact them a lot. They also influence a lot of kids and even adults to do the right thing. Like, they're just amazing people, I guess. Like, no, not I guess. But they're just amazing people, and they just know a lot about the community and always want to help no matter who it is or what they've been through. On an average, they make $55,343. That's just the mean. They could definitely make way more too. But yeah, I went and I took the time and I interviewed Miss Head, our agriculture teacher for the high school. I asked her some simple questions like, what do you do on a daily basis? How do you manage your time? Advice you have for someone wanting to be a teacher, toughest part of your job, and favorite part of your job. When I asked her, what do you do on a daily basis, she said that she creates her lesson plans, she prepares FFA stuff, and she grades and manages a school department and manages the CTE teachers. This I find very impressive as she finds so much time to put in that effort and do all of that in just one day. And I really look up to that because personally I wish I could do that because I know I can't. Following that, I asked her, how do you manage your time? She said she's really good at multitasking, and her priority is teaching and creating a lesson plan to make sure that kids are having fun while also learning. She does a lot of hands-on activities, but also making sure that they understand what these hand activities are and how to learn from them and grow from them and use them in the real world. Some advice she has for someone wanting to be a teacher is to go to college and get a bachelor's degree. She took a different route, not the regular agriculture education. She started out in animal science at Cornell, and she said that helped her learn more information to present to the students and also have a lot more understanding of what she's teaching to the students as her agriculture job. She said the toughest part of her job is when students struggle in her class and she can't seem to reach them in a mental aspect. This, I think, is so important as our teachers and our community work so hard to make sure that everybody is having fun, is in a safe environment, and just overall learns and does the best they can. And she says that she wishes she could take some of the kids home as some of them struggle a lot with their home lives. And I think that's just a really good trait to have, is that you try to help the kids as best as you can, but sometimes you just can't do it. But her favorite part of the job is all of the connections she makes with those students and having the fun times that she has with all of them. She loves making jokes, appropriate ones, and she loves making the connections with the kids and having fun with them, making sure that they have the best time possible and make memories that they'll never forget and will always remember throughout their high school or junior high career. And she said she loves the FFA competitions and just meeting everybody and seeing everyone succeed in the best way possible. But thank you for your attention and your time tonight.
Great, thank you, Kennedy. Kennedy, before you head back to practice, does anybody have any questions for her they'd like her to answer?
Do you have a pathway you're gonna go?
Personally, I'm looking into the, maybe like the agribusiness one with the agricultural broadcaster, as I love to talk and just interview people. Currently I announce for like the school and stuff. So yeah, I really like it. Great.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Is there a reason why you put this?
You can give it right to Mrs. Head there, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you guys for your time.
All right, take care, dear.
Thanks, Kennedy.
Thank you.
Are you planning to walk out on the first?
Are you ready now? No? If you need your cheat, grab your cheat sheet if you need it.
All right, if you would do me a favor, I'm a little hard of hearing. So if you can imagine your.
I will try my best.
I love it, I love it.
I'm in theater, so I know
Oh, you have no
100%.
problem. All right, good,
Got
thank you.
this. my name is Haley. I'm in the 10th grade, or I'm a sophomore. I just came from a little meeting for the Outsiders theater that we're about to do. So like, I really want to get to that. So I'll try my best to go slow. I read fast, I talk fast sometimes, so I will slip on my words. I'm sorry in advance for everyone. And also, I'm very nervous. Okay. I believe in the, see? I'm already messing up. Okay. I believe in the future of agriculture with a faith born not of words but of deeds. Achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturists. In the promise of better days through better ways. Even as the better things we now enjoy have come to us from the struggles of past, former years.
It's okay. You're doing great.
Got it.
Just calm down. You're fine.
I believe that to live and work on a good farm or to engage in other agriculture pursuits is pleasant as well as challenging, for I know the joys and the discomforts of agriculturalist life and hold an inborn fondness for those associated, which, even in the hours of discouragement, I cannot deny. I believe in leadership for ourselves and respect for others. I believe in my own ability to work efficiently and think clearly. With such acknowledgement and skill I can secure, and an inability of progress agriculturists to serve our own and the public interest in producing and marketing the product of our toil. I believe in a less dependent on begging and more power in bargaining, in the life abundant and honest wealth to make it so for ourselves as well as myself, for others and as well as myself, and less for charity and more of it when needed, in being happy myself and playing square for those happiness depend on me. I believe in American agriculture can and will hold true to the best traditions of natural life, and that I can exert an influence in my home and my community, which I will stand solid for my part in that inspiring task.
All right, now all the questions. Who's
Oh,
got?
God.
Anybody have one?
Haley, do you have a pathway that you're gonna go?
I'm still like looking, but I'm kind of curving in like a few different ways. I feel like I want to do acting, but also like go into like the agriculture field. I'm still like iffy about that.
You could probably be both.
Probably.
Other questions? Thank you very much, dear.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, ladies. All right, and that takes us to our board presentation, which will be less entertaining, although Mike can really bring it when he wants to. It's our next installment of the budget presentation. Tonight, we're going to concentrate on the transportation area and our current transportation department, as well as some of the information that we've been sharing piecemeal to you as it relates to the zero emission initiative through New York State. So, Michael, could please.
Mr. Van Etten, you up, maybe life is a highway or something?
Give me a second, Mike. Give me a second. I gotta change Sirius station. You're welcome.
Good song. So tonight's presentation, just to touch on district transportation and where we're looking moving forward. Just a reminder, in our transportation department, we have a total of 38 buses, 6 vans and 1 equipment bus. That's our Blue Pride bus that you may see that's painted up in the blue and white. We have 113 daily routes. So anytime that a van or a bus leaves the transportation department, goes, picks up children, out and back, that counts as one route. There are regular runs, special needs runs, BOCES transportation. We also have occupational ed trips that go out. Our routes, those 113 daily routes, encompass 2,991 miles per day. Per day in the district. Remember, our district is 164 square miles. One of the larger districts in central New York. We have 24 regular drivers, 5 drivers without a permanent route. They are subs or flexible if somebody is out, if we need to put somebody on a run, if somebody's out for a long period of time, those are the drivers we utilize to move around. 2 mechanics, which also in the past few years have served as drivers, and 1 driver/garage attendant, a transportation assistant, and Jen Fox, our transportation supervisor. Our bus leasing, as you may or may not be currently aware, we do currently lease our buses. Our leasing cycle for next year is to add 7 66-passenger newly leased buses. We do lease the buses for 5 years. So with our fleet not any older than 5 years, we've had the ability to reduce our parts costs. We've had the ability to have all the new technology placed on our buses, where some districts are replacing buses every 10 years, something like a stop arm that are now required in New York State. Districts had to go back and retrofit buses. To give you an idea, a regular bus costs around $150,000. After 8 years, when you go to sell a bus, that same bus is worth $2,000. That's what kind of depreciation we find on buses. So taking a 3-year look at our leasing, as you can see, from 2018 to 2022, that first section, we did purchase that year 7 66-passenger buses. Our total cost was $681,840. In 2018, what you're seeing there, that cost $75,000 for buses, is reflective of that's when we finally had all of our buses that we had paid for that we actually had sold back to the bus company. So we no longer were trading buses back. The nice thing with our buses, and one of the reasons why that we went into the leasing program, is our buses commanded a greater value than most districts. Matthews Buses, who we contract with, found that our buses were coming back cleaner, better maintained, and they were having fewer problems to do the resale on them. Now, you can see over the 3 years that cost starts to go up. What's reflected there isn't a huge change in the interest rates, it's the residuals that they're offering. So when the bus, after that 5 years, the residual value of that bus is starting to decrease. So the cost up front is a little bit more. Going into this year, we are looking at the lease of 7 66-passenger buses, as stated earlier. Our total cost has gone up. Why? Because you're starting to see that residual value catch up. Last year, the cost was $203,000. Now we're looking at $210,000. It's important in looking at the leasing of the buses, and this is nothing that we forecasted ahead of time, but the current situation, we're being asked starting in 2027 that our purchases or leases have to be electric buses. Now, what does that look like for us? We're not in a situation where our buses are 10 years old, we have to replace our fleet immediately. We've gone into a 5-year cycle of replacing our buses. That's going to be advantageous to us because by 2035, our entire fleet will have to be electric. That's the current state mandate. So again, there's a lot of pieces and parts. I'm not going to enter into the discussion of politics in this. I'm just going to simply give you the information. The biggest impact will be financially. Right now, the leasing companies or the bus companies are not talking about full leases for buses. If they do, rather than going to a 5-year lease, you may have to go to an 8 to 10-year lease. So again, that wear and tear on buses becomes greater. Is it more advantageous to purchase rather than lease? It's something that we're going to have to consider. The cost. Right now, I said the regular school bus, a diesel bus, $150,000. A electric bus, the current costs fall between $370,000 and $450,000 a piece. That's the cost value of those buses. Another large part to this is infrastructure. So not only will you have to purchase the buses, you're going to have the infrastructure in order to charge them. Right now, there are two different charging options that are out there. They fall between $10,000 and $30,000 a piece. So when we talk about that, we're talking about the charging ability right now for 38 buses. We've currently had a study done by Matthews Buses to talk about if we have to charge buses, what that time would look like, what it would take to fully charge a bus. If we have, and I'll share at a later date some of that information, but when you look at it, we may have a bus that's out on the road traveling maybe 100 miles at a clip in the morning. What's the chargeability of that bus during the day to get that back on the road to be able to travel that same mileage? So there's a lot that will be at play at that, routing, different things of that nature. So with this, again, with the financial piece of the bus itself, the infrastructure, as I said, we had a meeting with Matthews Buses. They went through and gave us a full breakdown of our entire fleet. They looked at all of our mileage. They looked at what you would have to look at in routing in order to have these buses be able to be charged fully and then move back out during the day. So moving forward, what do we have to do? Right now, it's to engage with an engineering consultant and contractor. We've done that. We've met with Hunt Architects. They started us down the path. They're working with other districts to do studies. With that, we were able to work with Matthews Buses, who did a free study for us. So we'll take that information back to our engineering consultants and start to talk about what do the plans look like for Homer. Contact a utility provider and discuss the electric fleet transition, the service load, timelines for upgrades. Currently, through National Grid, we've reached out to them with the study that was done through Matthews Buses, and they're going to provide an infrastructure and utility study for us. Then we can take that information and have a better idea again to go back to our engineers for this. There are incentive funding opportunities. Right now, in talking with Matthews, there is a funding opportunity that could offset the cost of a bus initially, going from that larger amount, $450,000, to bring it down to about $150,000. The caveat of that, however, because we lease buses, you have to own buses to do that. But there's a workaround. You can buy a used bus for $2,000 and trade that in. And that would work. Again, not my setup, whoever's watching at home. But again, with this is a plan to how the incentives work for the electric buses. Again, route analysis. We use a software called TransFinder. TransFinder takes every student in the district, plots where they live. When we design routes, we use the TransFinder software that tells us when a bus is going to stop. It tells us what the routing is for each bus, whether we can combine routes, if we need to extend routes out. Again, so we'll use that route analysis software. Again, when we start to look at the charge management software, the infrastructure software, to see how to best plan those routes. The last part, assess your fleet replacement plan. Again, we've started to do that with Matthews, and we are in an advantageous position to not have to replace our entire fleet at once. Some districts that bought an entire fleet at once, they're going to have a difficult time trying to balance that. One of the nice things in looking at this is we replace our fleet. Those buses, as we are using electric buses, we would use the diesel buses to go and take care of those longer routes until we no longer had those buses in service. So again, that would allow us to extend that closer to that 2035 deadline. I've thrown a lot at you. We will continue to talk about this and moving forward with electric busing. Any questions?
Is there any electric buses currently in central New York?
Yes.
How's that working out?
Again, there aren't that many, but right now, a consideration is just the weather. We've had a mild winter, but there is a consideration for battery loss and temperatures under 20 degrees. So that'd be something that we'll be studying as we go through it.
Yeah, some of the other challenge as well is that there are some districts that have committed to getting a bus, but they haven't made enough for them to get them yet. Baby's Poppy's a perfect example. They've been waiting on a bus for months now, and they haven't received it. So while this, this deadline that Mike's talking about, 2027 to start, 2035 to have a full fleet, is still in place, there's some questions as to whether or not that's a feasible thing, not just because there aren't enough buses yet, but because they haven't figured out the cost part yet, and the infrastructure piece, which, as Mike is pointing out, is huge. So a lot of things still up in the air, but they're up, to Mike's point, there are some buses, and we've had a fortunate, few months here for that. So
Just to give you an idea, right now, diesel buses are about a year behind in production. We found when we first started to lease, we put our order in for the buses. We're not bound to it until the voters vote on it. We put our order in 2 years ahead of time because we know what our needs are as far as leasing go. So in looking at that, our buses have shown up fairly on time. There are districts in our area that were supposed to have buses, new buses show up in August. They were just told this week that they are not going to receive them this year. So again, that all falls into the designing and following through with this.
we were one of the few districts, certainly in our BOCES, that even received buses last year. And to Mike's point, there aren't enough of them. And that's diesel buses. It's nothing to say about the electric ones, so.
My only last part of this, my recommendation would be going into, when we look at our leasing plan for next year, is to look at the purchase of an electric bus to take advantage of an incentive program to actually see how that works before we fully jump into it 2 years later in 2027. Any other questions?
So this is across the state that all schools are going to have to be fully electric by event. And if we're already having an issue with production and with varying school sizes, I would just be curious how they plan to make that equitable to all school districts.
So what they've done so far is people have, especially with lower economic regions, people have been allowed to apply for grants to start to prototype, to test this function in their districts, because it will be a humongous cost. Again, with the fact that when you're going out and paying for this, they'll also extend the life of the payment. That's going to affect people, and that's another piece that they're going to have to study, is that you're going to be paying interest for a longer period of time. It's again,
The life that you have the bus, right? So like 10 years, because then by then you're gonna have to trade it in.
they're talking probably 15 years.
So
The
they're
life
like,
of a life of a bus to get financed or incentivized would be 12.
There are a lot of things to work out. I
They're-
think that's fair.
they're
That's an
saying-
understatement.
They're saying with the engine type, the wear and tear is less. I don't know enough about it to speak to that,
right,
but that's what they're saying is that. But again, in our region, we're more worried about road salt and wear and tear going up and down hills, the effect on brakes and things like that, so.
You sure you buy some of those cheap $2,000 diesel buses to hold the electric ones back? Good idea.
We'll keep that in our back pocket.
Megan, you had a question?
Do the buses have to be 100% electric, or can
Yes.
they have fuel backup?
No, they have to be 100% electric.
And it's just the buses, our vans do not have to be electric.
They have not stated that, I believe everything will go to zero emissions. They have not stated that, like our trucks and our vans, things of that nature would have to move in that direction yet. I'm not saying that they won't move in that direction.
More of a comment than a question, Mike. And I don't even think they've necessarily talked a lot about the batteries, right? Because the life cycle of the battery is not gonna be 12 years,
Correct. So the
That's gonna be
battery,
interesting too.
in our conversation, the batteries are warranted up to 8 years.
So how do you
They tell you
do
the
the
cost on the
finance
battery.
No.
Replace battery?
No.
I feel like there are a lot of holes in this plan.
Yeah.
Right, a lot of planning. And, you know, even the battery, as it is charged more and more, it becomes less and less useful as it goes along, so it diminishes its, so there's, again, a lot of, but, you know, I think the conversation that we've been having, you know, both here in Homer and then at the BOCES level is the state, this came out from the state. If they didn't come out so definitively, we wouldn't be having these conversations. So they've been successful in getting districts to take a look at this. A lot of things obviously need to work out if this is gonna go forward in this timeline. But they seem intent, the state seems to be intent on us getting there. It's just a matter of how long they'll let us take to get there and what plans need to be put in place to do it. So,
Yeah, I can appreciate them pushing their agenda, but there's so little research and data to help anybody really plan and be financially wise.
it's,
I think
I
that's
was
pretty-
told, we've been told it's not a technology issue as much as it is a financial one.
Yeah,
That the technology exists with some modifications, but it's a financial piece, especially, you know, with some of the numbers that Mike's been sharing with us.
Any other questions on the electric buses or busing, transportation? So just the last part, just a reminder of where we're at. On March 26th, we're going to talk more about the budget as it stands. Hopefully we'll get closer to hearing some resolution from the state on the budget and present any modifications to the board. We have our legal notice of our school budget hearing going out. We actually put one of our first legal ads out today. My recommendation would be to have a budget work session with the entire board or budget and finance prior to the meeting on Wednesday. We're changing up with a Wednesday meeting. That could be our tentative adoption date for the budget. We will be adopting the BOCES budget on that date. And again, spring recess, the 22nd through the 26th. And our deadline for passing the budget to approve it is the 26th of April. Just to kind of jump through. Any questions on that? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
That brings us to new business. I'll ask for a motion to approve the warrants and claims auditor's report.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? A motion to approve the treasurer's report. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, investment summary.
Yeah, just for informational purposes.
Informational purposes, investment summary is included, the budget status report is included. That moves us down to reports from the Committee on Preschool Education, Preschool Special Education. Motion to approve the reports from the Committee on Preschool Special Education.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Looking for a motion to approve the reports from the Committee on Special Education.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Brings us down to donations under new business. A motion to accept the donations in the amount of $150 from Newmandale Law Group. Should we separate all those, Tom?
No, you can do all of them.
Okay.
Unless someone plans to say no.
That's right. We had a generous donation from the Newmandale Law Group for $150, $100 from the Homer Winterfest. Robinson Family Jewelers donated 2 crowns for prom. A motion to accept the donations.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Any comments on that?
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, transportation request for OCM BOCES, motion to approve.
You missed disposal.
Oh, I'm sorry, yep. Looking for a motion to approve the disposal of items from the intermediate and high school.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? A motion to approve the transportation request from OCM BOCES for bus use from July 21st to the 26th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
When do kids find out about this and how do they find out?
They can find out through their science teacher.
Right, but Mr. Van Etten, specifically, how do our marine field studies students find out about those opportunities through their classroom work?
So our science department, lead teacher Tom George, and our science teachers present and share that information with folks. It's in our program of studies as well, because it's a credit-bearing opportunity through OCM BOCES.
Okay.
But it's super limited, right? So like, when does it open?
So I wouldn't say the word super limited.
It's like less than 12 kids though, isn't it?
I don't know as we've had overwhelming responses where we've had to limit where folks were selected or not allowed to participate. So I would suggest the numbers have been pretty compatible with interest.
Okay.
There probably have been a handful of years, but again, I'm thinking back to times not recent. So, and it's based on the number of slots that we have available to send, because obviously it's a program throughout the BOCES supervisory district.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's an awesome program, both that and the Adirondack Field Studies.
Yeah, it's a great experience for kids, for sure.
We're fortunate, we have teachers that help support the program. We've had some folks go along over the years. It's a great opportunity. That's okay.
That brings us to a tax refund. Motion to approve the tax refund in the amount of $2,511.23.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Under approval of Phase 2 bids, motion to approve the Phase 2 bids for our capital project.
So moved.
Second. Any questions?
I'll just add, as I mentioned previously, very favorable bids will allow us to do the work that we had anticipated, including the alternates that we had pulled out on the front end in case we didn't have enough money to do it. So all that work will start, summer. Some will move into the fall. We're hoping minimal, but we're very happy with that. So very favorable in that regard.
I think as a result of some things maybe coming down a little bit.
Yeah, some of the pricing has dropped considerably since we initially bid this, approved the project a few years ago.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Field trip request for the class of 2024. Motion to approve the field trip request to take the class of 2024 students to Pocono Valley Resort in East Stroudsburg, PA from June 15th to the 16th on the 2024 for their senior trip.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Next one, district calendar. Motion to approve the 24 to 25 district calendar.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Under personnel, motion to approve personnel is recommended by Superintendent Turk.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
I have to abstain from.
That's right. Sorry,
I
Grandma.
thought that, pull that out,
Or
we were able to.
we can, or you could just abstain from the whole,
Okay.
whichever you want to do. Okay.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that brings us to informational items.
Yes, and I have a few for you. First, there's some fundraising updates from the intermediate, junior high, and high school. Again, some more opportunities for some fundraising in the district. Secondly, we've got the OCM BOCES annual meeting. It's on April the 4th. It's being held this year at McAvoy, which is the Cortlandville campus. The program is a dinner at 6 o'clock and a 7 o'clock business meeting. I'm gonna be going, and I would invite all or any number of folks to go. We've had some people go in the past. The culinary students put the meal on this year. We have to actually choose from a menu. The food is outstanding. The program is very informational. If you can go, please let Kelly know, and we would just meet over at McAvoy and take part. But that's April 4th, so if you could let Kelly know if you're able to go, and the more the merrier. It's always a nice evening. Next, we have a UNICEF club. We have some students who have approached Megan Altman at the high school and asked if they could start this club, and she will serve as their volunteer advisor. So we're happy to have another opportunity for kids to come together and get involved. And then lastly, Mr. Bennett has provided for your information the end of year schedule for this school year. It hits on all the highlights for all the different activities that are planned for our kids from 9th through 12th grade. And that's what I have for informational items.
Thank you. That brings us to community voices. We do have a couple on the list tonight. Just as a reminder on community voices, please identify, state your name for the record, identify any group or organization you represent. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per speaker or less. A speaker may not yield his or her time to another speaker in order to extend the time commitment or extend the time to comment. No speaker may comment or identify any particular student or employee. All comments are to be directed to the board president or designee. Speakers on different topics will be recognized before a repeat topic. And any informational items you'd like to give us, we can certainly do that. But the other piece to keep in mind is we cannot comment back, to your presentation. So I've got Alex Rosado. Did I say that correct?
I may have signed that. I thought that was just a sign.
Oh, perfect.
You're all doing a great job.
Thank you. Let's keep that limited to 2 minutes.
I did it in 2 seconds.
Happens all the time, Alex.
It does. And then Barb Bachman.
Yeah. Good evening. I'm not going to take your full 2 minutes. I'm just going to pass out. I sent you an email. You all know what I'm here to talk about. 14 years ago, I was lucky enough to be hired by Mr. Turk. This program was looked to. Mrs. Troy fought hard to keep this program in place. I'm doing the same instead of Mrs. Troy. We are in the talks or hearing talks about reimagining this program. I put in here why I don't think that is a good idea. If nothing else, those that know me, those that I've had your children know that I'm passionate about what I do and what I teach. Wouldn't be here if I wasn't. Don't want to take your time. I'd be glad to talk to any of you about this, but this would be a huge disservice. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, Barb. Any other community voices that want to be heard tonight?
Alex?
All right, brings us to board committee reports. We had none, and district committee reports to report, none on those either. Brings us to school community items. Let's see, information.
Board member activity.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Board member activities. Anybody got some stuff they want to share tonight?
Yeah, I went to the play, that was awesome.
Outstanding.
That was very well done. Kids were outstanding.
Yep.
Good job to everybody.
Anybody else?
I did some time at the play, behind the scenes,
What'd you do to play?
time,
Oh,
did time.
Did
Yeah, and, you know, time. It's really fun to hang out with some kids that I wouldn't necessarily ever cross paths with. So I continue to volunteer, plus they seem to always need some help. And it's nice to hear them talk and the way they inspire each other. It's very sweet. And I've also spent some time in the gym watching some junior high wrestling. Boys and girls, that's a whole new experience in my world. Yep.
You like it?
What part?
Wrestling. Now you're coming into my world.
It is extremely uncomfortable for me to watch somebody try to hurt my child. So it is really hard to watch. I admire the adrenaline they bring to the mat and their ability to dig deep and like bring out emotions that you don't get to surface a lot. So I admire that. I think the cheering section and the support that we have in the crowd is just outstanding. But I personally don't enjoy watching my child be treated that way. So it's 3 minutes long, but not to negate that I don't get into cheering, and you probably can hear me in my whole section of the gym. Like, I'm definitely supportive in that sense, but it's very hard to watch. So there's that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the music though, like that's coming up, so that'll be much easier to
Less contact.
sit through.
Yeah.
I also went to the musical and was really proud of the show that our students put on. The quality of the voices is just amazing.
Phenomenal,
It really,
right? Yeah.
I always appreciate that this isn't their full-time job. This is in addition to sports and a full day of school. And no knock on the females, but I think I was most blown away by the males that put themselves out there and saying, I think we've created a world where it's safe for them to do that, and I think that's really something to be proud of.
Okay, upcoming events.
Yes, as I mentioned at the last meeting, March is Music in Our Schools Month. We have a concert, first grade concert tomorrow night. There's some unique opportunities as well. The junior high battle of the books is Thursday night. It's a competition, if you haven't seen it, it's a competition based around novels that kids have read, and they answer questions related to the content. Last year's was a lot of fun. Cabaret obviously is an awesome event that showcases from start to finish all of our musical opportunities in the district. And I also want to throw some information, a shout out about the intermediate school STEAM night on the 22nd, an opportunity for our kids to demonstrate all their knowledge base as it relates to science, technology, engineering, art, and music. So, and mathematics rather. So, should be a great night. So, if you can get out to those things, please do that. It's nice to see our kids showcasing what they can do. That's what I have.
With that, I'll take a motion to move to executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person or persons.
Thanks, everybody.
All those in favor?